So on this trip, I am flying from Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam to Jakarta in Indonesia. The flight was VN, Victor November 631. I'm flying economy today, and I was in boarding group number 4, which when I was queuing up, I noticed there wasn't a sign for boarding group number 4. Obviously, they started boarding from group number 1 first. That's business passengers plus any passengers with any Vietnamese Airlines privilege.
I was in boarding group. Okay, so I was in boarding group 4, but there wasn't a sign for boarding group 4, so I decided to jump into boarding group 3. Let me on okay. Business class first, then group 2, and just boarding now. So let's see what this onboard experience is like.
As is often the case with narrow-bodied planes, this was a A321 with a single aisle, 3 seats on one side, 3 seats on the other. Boarding can sometimes be a little bit slow as people are looking to stow their cabin baggage. I found the cabin crew to be somewhat mixed. Some of them were really friendly, some of them maybe not so much. But overall, I think on balance, they were a pretty good crew. My seat was 15A. That was a sort of window seat. The window seat, as you can see there, was slightly behind me.
Okay, so I'm on board 15A. It's a window seat, and it actually has a window. And of course, need to be physically able to sit here, but leg room, of course. Stretching out my legs fully there. Nice leg room, which is again one of the reasons why I choose this seat. On this A321, row 15, A, B, C, they're 3 seats together. On the other side, the aisle seat is actually the crew seat. So if you're a couple travelling together, it's really good because then you'll be together and there'll be nobody next to you. Got on relatively quickly today. I'm just waiting for everyone else to board now. One of the great things about boarding first is you get to your seat. One of the worst things about boarding first is you have to wait for everyone else to get to their seat. Anyway, so far so good. We'll see what the rest of the trip's like. So it doesn't look like there's any in-seat power. I've just had a look around. So I'd always recommend carrying a power bank with you just in case, because not all flights will have in-seat power. It's something that kind of like get used to on a lot of flights I take, but not on this one.
Now, there wasn't any Wi-Fi on the plane for you to connect to any messaging services, for example. And of course, there was no in-flight entertainment built into the seats. But one of the things I did like was the fact that you could access in-flight entertainment and the map on your telephone, which is something I don't often see. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Well, we soon pushed back, and it was a pretty on-time departure, which is always very welcome when you're traveling. And very soon it was time to lift off and enjoy the in-flight experience.
So they just told me I had to take the bag off my shoulder and put it on the floor in front of me, despite this being an exit row. And they said it's safer. Don't understand that logic at all, given that it was a shoulder bag and it would stay on me. But if it's on the floor, if there's an emergency, you have to get out. It becomes a trip hazard. Fascinating.
Well, as soon as we were airborne, it was time to put the shoulder bag back over my shoulder. And very soon we were up in the air looking at the beautiful city of Ho Chi Minh, making our way up through the fluffy clouds. It was a chilly flight, and I wasn't sure that wearing shorts was the right thing, but it made a difference when I landed. Very soon it was time for the in-flight meal. And I wasn't actually expecting to get fed. I didn't know it was part of the ticket. And despite being an economy seat, I have to say that the food was actually tasty, and certainly it was welcome.
So the food was, it was surprisingly edible. Noodles and beef with some vegetables, served with a bit of a frown. Some of the cabin crew really look like they're enjoying their job, and some of them don't. I got the one who definitely didn't look like she was enjoying her job today. They're flying from Ho Chi Minh to Jakarta, and then quick inspection, reboard, and flying back today. So I guess for them it's a long day. But again, you know, you're in customer service, you're in customer safety, you got to look like you're enjoying your job a little bit. And if you're not enjoying your job, change your job. If you can't change your job, change your attitude. Anyway, that was interesting. There is a interesting map that tells us how far we've got to go. Can't quite read it at the moment, but it looks like we're about maybe 1/5 of the way there. It's currently 10:45 in the morning. We left a little bit late. Should have been a 9:55 departure. I think we were off the ground maybe 10:15. So we've been up in the air about 30 minutes now. And so far the flight's okay. It's okay. It's not the best flight, not the worst flight. Let's see if the cabin crew experience shifts a little bit. I guess they've got a long day, but it is what it is, right?
Once we were up in the air, it's time to do a bit of a toilet check. Another reason why I like to carry my shoulder bag is because I don't really want to be walking into the toilet with my camera in my hand, so it stays in that shoulder bag. The toilet was typical toilet, soap, etc. There was that bag of smelly stuff on the door, which I'm not sure what purpose that served. As you can see, it was a relatively full flight, but also you can see that the legroom, given that this is the economy seats that we're walking down here, the legroom was actually pretty decent. And I've flown with Vietnamese Airlines quite a few times, and I found that this flight was pretty decent, despite some of the cabin crew being a bit grumpy. We were about 4/5 of the way down. Obviously, Ho Chi Minh down to Jakarta is flying north to south. And then I decided to have a look at the in-flight entertainment. I didn't really notice any English television programs, whether they're British or American, or films. So I didn't really test them out. But the one thing I did notice was there were lots and lots of adverts. Every time you clicked on something, I think Volvo were trying to sell me a car. So I'm sure the in-flight entertainment, if you're a native Vietnamese speaker and possibly other Southeast Asian languages, there might be some good films, but I typically download things on other streaming platforms. The one thing that I did enjoy was the fact that I could get a closer up view of the in-flight map, which is another option that you can go into. And as you can see here, it gives a much better detailed view of the journey, how long you've got, how far we've traveled, our current altitude, etc. So it was. I thought that was a really good option for the in-flight entertainment as such. Very, very quickly then, it wasn't long until we were boarding or looking to go and land down into Jakarta. I will say that the 3 seats in front of me, no one in those seats reclined. I don't know if they do recline, and I didn't recline my seat just because it was just a short trip, but the seats themselves were really comfortable. So no in-flight entertainment as such, no power on the seats, but you get fed in economy, and the food was definitely edible, and all in all, it was a pretty decent flight. And very soon, it was time to get off and enjoy Jakarta.